Welcome to the Building One Story at a Time podcast.
We're your hosts. I'm Katie Herbine.
And I'm Stephanie LaChance.
We are joined today by our wonderful summer intern, Adriana Doino.
Hi. I'm Adriana.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be on the podcast. The one that I listen to annually.
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 Well, thank you for being
Close
honest.
enough. Close enough. Close enough.
All right, awesome. Well, Adriana, today we wanted our listeners to get to know you a little bit better because if you have been through the design studio either for an open house or to have your interactive selection appointment or your finalization appointment, you may have noticed Adriana sitting in on your appointments, grabbing samples, helping us put things away, tracking your selections on the computer. She's been super helpful. We're so grateful to have her this summer.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you give us a little overview about your educational background because you are currently in school.
Yes, I am currently in school. I'm a second year now architecture student, architectural technology student, which mostly consists of drafting. And that's at Thaddeus Stevens, a 2-year technical program. It's a very fun school, a lot of opportunities. It's the reason, I was able to get this internship. I enjoy it very much. It's a lot of fun and all the students are a really good time. They teach us a lot of in the field stuff. So it's very easily, I guess they're preparing us for the real world type things.
Mm-hmm. Easily applied.
Yes, easily applied. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of an example of something you learned in school that you've now seen in application during your internship?
Let me think. In school, I guess. I was working a lot on the computer in school. So, I've been able to look at the floor plans and stuff and kind of have a better understanding of them. Although I don't get my hands on them too often. It's really cool when I do get to see the certain ways that certain builders do things. It's preferred to them. There's a lot of things with your guys' door sizes was something that I just noticed today. They're you guys do 2 foot by 2 foot 2 inch doors, which isn't not completely standard. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
There's little differences in construction stuff that I've found really interesting because it depends on what builder you go to and it really changes everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's been some times where we look to you for what's the technical term for this?
Sometimes I know and sometimes
Yeah.
I don't. I try my best.
There's also been a few times where you knew the code requirement for something.
Yes. So yeah, that was a big thing in school. My professor was very, very heavy on us being code reliant. So thinking about how much how we talk about sheet vinyl and how it's going to be in a small space and how it's a rolled material. He made us think about waste and costs and all of that. So it's very much code oriented, real world oriented, taking into account those little things that you normally would not think about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you give us maybe a little nugget, something helpful that you've learned during your internship that you think will apply to your professional life?
I've really learned how to work with people correctly at this internship, especially speak to them correctly. It's been very interesting to see how people are so overwhelmed when they first come in to buy a house. And it is very overwhelming because truly it's a whole lot of new stuff. Someone I've never ever seen things like this before when it comes to investment wise, it gets very overwhelming. And I'm sure a lot of people don't have experience with those numbers like I do. So it's you step into it and you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? And then you're like, okay, this is very much normal. And I'm literally I've never been exposed to anything like this in my life. And so I think that's made it a lot more I'm gonna go back into school and be able to be okay, this could cost this much, this could be this much, and have a better understanding of how that works again in the real world, and like not just drawing the drafting, not just doing the pictures, but being able to like say, okay, how much is someone going to be able to like what
like a bump out or changing a roof line, like how does that really impact?
How is that going to affect the overall like cost assessment of the whole house? So yeah, that's really interesting to me. It's been really cool to explore.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about your own personal design style? How would you describe it, categorize it?
I think my design style is the opposite of my managers here. I'm a little darker in nature with colors. I really like, my favorite architectural style is Gothic architecture. Very extreme and maximalist architecture is very beautiful to me. And design, I love colors when there's a lot of it. And I like black when there's a lot of it. So it's very either give or take. I'm either very colorful on one day and very, very dark on another. So there's no give and take there.
I'm thinking back to the first time that we met you, and I aged myself by saying that you're half Wednesday Addams, half Blair Waldorf, and you were like, I don't know who Blair Waldorf is. Gossip Girl.
I'm sorry, I knew Wednesday Addams, which is older. So you got to give it, like, I watched The Addams Family when I was younger. That was in black and white. So
there
at least
go.
I got that.
See, that's why I thought you would know.
Man, you missed me with that one. It was over for me.
That was so funny.
I was like, I'm not getting the job.
Like, oh my God, am I ancient?
Oh my gosh.
What has been the most fun thing you've gotten to do on your internship?
Oh my gosh, everything is so fun. I literally love coming to work every day. It's such a gift because it truly, like, when I was working my little jobs before, I worked at Giant and I worked at like that pet place and stuff. You know, when you're not working in something that you're passionate about, it's hard to get to work every day. It's hard to get yourself up out of bed and be like, oh, this is something I love doing and it's going to contribute to my future. And I'm working at Giant. Unfortunately, it's just like I didn't feel productive there. Even if we're having a slow day here at the office, I come in and I'm like, this is the best place I could be. I'm so happy to be here. I just know that it's contributing to my future actively when I'm here every day. So that makes me happy in itself. But other than that, I mean, I love seeing what everyone chooses. I love seeing people's personal preferences, like how it changes from person to person. I think it's so interesting to see all the different styles that come through here, all the different people. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. I felt like my heart warmed that you want to be here so much and that you love being here because we love having you.
So
we really do.
I'm so grateful.
But it is really cool how each person comes in with a different perspective and that real world experience of like working with clientele and like how you have to kind of adapt to each person's communication style and the way that they're receiving your design concept. And if there's some people that are like, oh my gosh, yes, you nailed it. That's exactly what I want. And they really don't change much from what we've designed for them. Yeah. And then there's people that come in and they're like, I don't really think that's it. And it goes in like a completely different direction. So I think that's kind of cool that you're getting some of that real world experience of like shifting direction in the moment. I think that's really important.
It's been super helpful to like be able to see that and be able to deal with it appropriately and then know like how to carry on in those situations. Like not everything that you do is going to be 100% what this person's thinking all the time. And you got to be able to take that criticism and just kind of move along with it, which I haven't had a hard time with. I think it just really interests me, to be honest. I really find it so much fun when, especially when someone's like, I don't like it. I'm like, wow, that is okay. Perfect. A challenge.
Yeah. So hearing I don't like it is so much easier for me than they're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. At least we're getting some solid answers.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's so true. Like even if you don't end up working with like a client, but you're doing more like B2B, like design build type of work, and you're like on a team, developing commercial spaces or industrial spaces, you're still going to have to like adapt to the feedback that you get, revise plans, revise directions, work with the architect, work on a team. You've gotten a little bit of exposure to our team too as well.
They're all very nice. I love them. I know you're all listening. It's like no, yeah, teamwork is a huge thing in architecture and drafting. You have to be very communicative. Is that a word?
It is now.
With your team, because, if you don't know how a process works, and a process being how a certain siding goes on or how a certain thing gets applied as an architect, you have to be able to go to the people who are going to put it on your house and be able to speak to them and know how to render it correctly or draft it correctly. It's all about being able to talk to the people around you and use them to your advantage and asset, and they be able to use you to their advantage. It's a big team operation.
Do you have a favorite architect?
I forget his name. I just looked him up, but he is so funny because I looked at him. His name is Joseph Hannum.
Okay.
He was a Gothic architect. I read about him in school. He was a Gothic architect, and he was so stubborn. He loved Gothic architecture so much. It was all he ever did. And he was so stubborn about it that when it went out of style, he just stopped doing architecture. He just stopped for the rest of his life. He wrote a book about it, and then he was like, I'm done. And I think that's so funny. And I love that stubbornness because that's me and my style. That's how I feel.
No one appreciates me. I'm out.
No, just so terrible. Such a terrible way to think about it. It's so funny, though. It makes me giggle.
That is funny.
So if you were to build an E.G. Stoltzfus home,
my dream,
which home plan would you pick?
Oh, that's a really good question. I really like the Glen Mary. I feel like that's a good answer.
It is, because it's also my answer.
Yeah, is it really?
Yeah.
See, great minds think.
And it was Mike's answer when we interviewed him a couple of weeks ago, too. Yeah.
And it's also most of our buyers' answer as well, because it is our top-selling home plan of last year.
I want to say that maybe I'm thinking that because the Glenberry has come through so much. But yeah, it's a really... I mean, I think I like it because we've seen so many different people buy it. Like people with families, new couples, older people. Like I feel like everyone likes like this home plan. It's very versatile. It can be used very well. And it's a pretty big house, so it's pretty nice.
It is. One for sale right now in Warwick Crossing.
Yes,
Yeah.
in Warwick Crossing, yes.
Yeah, my aunt, so my husband's aunt, she lives in Lidditz Reserve, and she just sent me a photo of the Glen Mary, and she was like, oh, if only it was like $100,000 less. And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. For free.
You could be neighbors.
I know.
That has the same energy as when I texted my dad a picture of the Mansfield model home. He was like, how much did it go for? I was like, close to $1 million. He was like, we'll take it.
We'll take it.
I said, you're a liar.
What has been, maybe I already asked you this, but in a different form, your favorite part of the job?
My favorite part of the job, a different favorite part of the job that I've had has been like dealing with all the samples. Obviously, I mean, they're all beautiful and so much fun to look at just in general, but like touching them and being able to bring them out every day, learning them, like getting to know the names and like the actual materials of things, learning something new every single day is so much fun. I am constantly learning. I just recently, there was vinyl siding that someone was like, what is this made out of? And I was like, in my head, I was like, plastic. And Steph was like, no, it's vinyl. I was like, oh, that would make sense. It is called vinyl siding. It's just those little things that you don't process in your mind that you're like still like working out when you're getting your hands on the samples and stuff. It's so fun to just like be wrong.
Yeah, you keep learning for sure in this role.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Adriana, where do you get your design inspiration?
Ooh, that's a great question. Oh my gosh. You know, to reference the beginning of the conversation, I will say that like I feel like I get it from like the old-timey Gothic girls like Wednesday Addams and such, and like the punk-esque women like Avril Lavigne. Like I love like that like grungy gothic style, and I feel like whenever I saw when I was younger, I was like, those girls are so cool. And then I started to dress like that, and then my personal style became like that, and it hasn't seemed to change, and I don't think it will. So I think I just had some very dark per se influences growing up.
You do a lot of thrifting too, right? So you're always kind of looking at like antique and like older styles, which makes it easier to have that like,
yes, definitely.
or kind of plays into that like aesthetic that you have of like, it's a little bit of like cool girl grandma.
I remember one of my first days working here, I was like, well, my mom makes fun of me because she says I dress like a grandma. Because like I do thrift a lot, and a lot of the things I wear can be perceived as very, oh, that lady is going on a long walk in the middle of winter. Like like it's very interesting, definitely. I think a lot of people don't prefer it, but that, you know, that gives them something interesting to look at.
But too, like for interior style, I know you more maximalist, and I feel like the thrifting lifestyle is like maximalist.
Mm-hmm. It definitely, thrifting helps with being able to be maximalist, because all I want are things constantly.
Exactly.
I always want little things, just trinkets, shiny things in my room. Anything will do. A rock, perhaps. But like
a gargoyle.
Literally. I pray for a gargoyle. No, but yeah, when I'm walking through the thrift store, I'll see like, what's something stupid, like, you know, like those little antique shoes that your grandma case? Like you'll see those on the rack, and I'm like, that's for me. That was meant for me. So like, yeah, thrifting definitely helps my personal style in my home, because I can really outdo myself for about $3.54 in cash.
Right. $3.54.
Yep. For that tiny little shoe.
You never know here what that means. If it's $3.54 or $3,554.
That's not me. That's me not being adjusted to the pricing.
The investments. No, we shifted you over to that. I love that.
So we've heard you here at the studio tell us a little bit about Thaddeus Stevens as a school, but for all of our listeners who maybe have kids that are coming up to be like college age, or they know someone just in their life that may be interested in kind of pursuing a degree like you are, you want to give us a little information on the program and a little plug for Thaddeus Stevens?
I would love to. I love Thaddeus so much. It is my saving grace. Thaddeus is an amazing school. It was started, I want to say around the 1940s or 50s. I'm not sure about that, but it's a very old school. Thaddeus Stevens himself was an activist for Black rights in the civil rights movement. He was a great man. He took in a lady and took care of her and her children. There's a lot of good information about him online. Just overall, really cool dude. He wanted to make sure everyone had equal opportunity to schooling, and therefore started this 2-year trade school where everyone had equal opportunity to schooling. It was very uncommon at that time, so he was really a trendsetter in that way. Yeah, he was super cool himself, but now Thaddeus Stevens is an amazing school. Now, they didn't accept women back then, but they accepted all races. But now it's a very women-oriented school, a lot of girls coming, and I always encourage more girls to come because we always need more. Mm-hmm. So Thaddeus in itself is just it's a wonderful place. Everyone's there to help you. Everyone is a resource. Everyone is rooting for you. Everyone is trying to get you out the door with a job. Mm-hmm. That's truly a wonderful thing in itself. My program, architectural technology, is great. My first year professor, Ted Williams, he's a great guy. He is also very oriented with his students. He's very involved. He wants the best for them. So with me, I was a big artist when I was younger. I was a very creative young girl, and I always had people telling me, oh, well, art's never going to get you anywhere. You're never going to be able to do anything with that. Yep. It's not going to make you any money. And that was kind of like something that I had to like sit back and be sorrowful about. But then I was like, okay, well, how can I implement this in a way that is going to make me successful in long-term life? And being able to sit down and draft and wrap your head around it, I think it takes a lot from drawing and the skills that you need to be able to paint and draw. So I highly suggest it being a route for anyone creative, because it's a very creative field. Although there are certain limitations that you'll have, it is a very amazing field for anyone creative. I want to say it's probably the best decision I've ever made to go to Thaddeus Stevens. And it was also the best decision that I ever made because I took a year off of high school and really made sure it was what I wanted to do 100%.
It is awesome.
Yep.
Besides your internship with Aegis
Oh, yeah. But Thaddeus led her here.
Yeah, exactly. It's only the best because it got me to where I am today.
Exactly.
Right here in the design studio.
Yes.
You mean our podcast studio?
Yes.
It's very professional in here. They have like soundproofing up and everything.
No, I thought that was so cool. You've given a similar speech like that to one of our buyers. They brought their young daughter in with them, and she was helping them design. And she was asking about Steph and my background, which, interestingly enough, is not in interior design or art, but in business.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought it was so great. And like, I loved just like watching you shine in that moment of like inspiring her with your story and telling her all of those things that you just said into the microphone about how great Thaddeus Stevens is for you personally, and for how you had that like artist mentality and kind of shifted it over. It was really inspiring.
Any opportunity I have to talk about my school, I will take and literally run with, because truly it's an amazing school, and truly more women need to be in the field. So when I have a young girl coming up to me and being like, "Oh, this is something I could be interested in. What does it look like all the time for you?" I'm like, "It looks great. You should do it. And you're so smart and you're so creative. I bet you'd be great at it." So yeah, I really love plugging Thaddeus because it's a great place to be. Like, there is no other place like it, and you are going to be successful because of that school.
Mm-hmm.
Just regardless of where you are and what trade you decide to take.
You should be an ambassador.
I always got told I was going to be a politician.
Ooh.
Yeah.
My dad wants me to be a politician too.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, thank
That's
you.
because we're good at arguing.
Yeah, too good.
Adriana, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing more about you and your goals and your experiences with your summer internship.
Thank you so much for listening to me stutter through this.
No, you did great. We loved having
I
you.
really enjoyed it. I love you guys.
Oh, we love you too. Thanks for spending your summer with us. Come back soon.
Yeah.
We still have like a month. Hold on.
I know. It's so sad.
By the time this airs, though, she may be gone already.
That's true.
Yeah.
Forever in our hearts.
Yes.
Adriana Doino.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.